Cars tend to fit neatly into their own nice little categories. You know the kind of thing. Compact city cars, sensible saloons, ravishing little roadsters. A car to suit the kind of person you are and the type of life you lead. And that being the case, it stands to reason if you're a high-powered executive city type, you drive a large luxury saloon. But what if, when the weekend comes, you fancy getting to grips with nature and sampling a taste of the great outdoors? What, you? Well, I know it's not usually my style, but if I had the kind of vehicle that offered me the opportunity to do both, I might just try it. Impossible. What kind of car can offer superb on-road performance and luxury and have the capabilities to go off-road? Well, actually, this one can. The BMW X5. So, what's an X5? Well, the name gives it away. Think about it. The 5 from BMW Super Saloon, the 5 Series, and the X from Cross Country. Put the two together and hey presto. A car to pose around town in, a car that lets you spot that parking space outside Harvey Nicks before anybody else. Or, if you prefer, a car that can cope with the rough stuff and loves nothing better than thrashing its way through a nice bit of mud. Now, the market for off-roaders just keeps on growing. A few years ago, you could basically have a Land Rover or a Jeep. But now all the manufacturers want a 4x4 of their very own. Even Mercedes have the M-Class, for goodness sake, and BMW certainly don't want to be left out of the game. But the holy grail for manufacturers has been to design what has so far been a very elusive creature. A vehicle that has the looks of a 4x4 but offers the performance of a top-class car. After all, these kind of vehicles are bought by buyers who want to look down on their neighbours and not by farmers who want to cross their fields. They love the looks, but they want the performance, and according to BMW, with the X5, you can have both. Whatever name they may give it, I reckon it looks like an estate on stilts, which maybe doesn't sound very flattering because it is actually a rather handsome and refined creature. The wheel arches have a very subtle flare and they smoothly merge into the gentle curves of the body. And just to remind you, and of course the neighbours, about the off-road bit, you get beefed up bumpers, neat fog lamps, discreet running boards, nice fat tyres and some extra ground clearance. The interior, as you'd expect from a BMW, is extremely civilised. The instrument panel doesn't favour the driver, so that one's passenger can take care of the stereo, the air conditioning and that satellite navigation thing. Everything is superbly positioned and of course it's all superb quality. And there are no complaints about the driving position either. In fact, these seats are more comfortable than the sofa in my living room. There's plenty of room for the driver, for the passengers, and for the most important bit of all, the shopping. Out on the road, well, it might be a large, powerful vehicle, but it's surprisingly easy to drive. The extra height means you get a great view of everything around you, but it doesn't come with any of the rock and roll that you normally associate with off-roaders. And the performance from that V8 engine also reflects that. 0 to 60 takes just 7.5 seconds, and it easily cruises to a top speed of 128 miles per hour. The steering really does feel very direct and it responds without any fuss or any bother. The 5-speed automatic gearbox does all the work for you. And when you add to that a very, very comfortable ride, you'll find it impossible to believe that you aren't in a top-class saloon. And if that's not enough for you, then there's a sport chassis available too, if you feel the need for a marginal improvement in handling for a slight reduction in comfort. But the best thing is you get fantastic fat tyres and even bigger alloy wheels, which will cause such a stir down the King's Road. It probably won't surprise you to discover that 95% of people who own off-roaders never take them off-road. Let's be serious. When the X5 goes on sale at the end of the year, it's going to cost around £47,000. If you'd spent that much money, would you want it to get bumped and bashed and covered in mud? I don't think so. Well, the good thing is, though, that this X5 isn't mine. And remember, I'm rather keen on getting to grips with nature. Off-road, the X5 proves its worth. The permanent four-wheel drive system directs most of the power to the rear wheels, so lack of grip and wheel spin is reduced to a minimum. Of course, the serious side to all this technology is that ultimately it makes for much safer driving, particularly on those dreadful winter mornings, which is probably why you find so many of this type of vehicle taking a rather precious cargo to the school gates. Now, because of BMW's connection with Land Rover, it will be no surprise to you to discover that quite a few of their gadgets and gizmos are on the X5. I'm talking about things like hill descent control. Now, this system, rather unsurprisingly, controls the engine's speed when you're on a very steep slope. It allows it to creep down at a steady 6 miles per hour. All you do is flick a switch just down here. You let the engine do the work for you. You don't panic. You don't even need to use your feet. The only limiting factor is the 180mm ground clearance and the compromise on road tyres. But hey, you can't have everything now, can you? Oh no, look how dirty it is. Why would you want to do that? You see, what buyers want is a vehicle that looks the part and has the off-road capabilities. Heaven forbid we should actually want to try it. Well, you can speak for yourself, because some of us will relish the challenge of discovering what the X5 is really capable of. You should try it sometime. Oh well, that's the beauty of it, I suppose. Whether you're looking for on-road performance or you want to have fun on an off-road course, then the X5 will suit you down to the ground.